I'm alive.
I think this might be the best you're getting for today.
All right. Welcome to another episode of the Traveling Hoopers podcast. I am your host, and with us today in the flesh for the first time in 3 years, it's Calvin McGowan, my man's.
As always, it's always great it's always fun and great and everything to be here. And it's, of course, great to see you again for the first
Right.
time in forever. So,
And with us virtually is my boy Philip. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
What's going on? My name's Philip, aka wasn't invited to Top Golf in Washington D.C., but it's all good though. I ain't sick, but I'm out here, virtual living and doing my thing.
It's all good, bro. We're gonna do Top Golf in Kansas City. I'm gonna be there a long ass time.
You,
But we have not recorded the podcast in 3 weeks, so we got a lot of stuff to talk about. First thing we want to get off our chest is these belligerent fans who kind of need to get punched in the face a little bit. I know that's not what we want from our NBA players, but I'm always kind of here for violence.
is it not though?
I'm always here for violence. I think it's
I,
part of the reason why I like seeing them fight occasionally. So like them versus regular people, I'm excited.
I'm not here for violence, just be off principle. There are other ways to solve your problems, but I I can't just be like, it's just like you can't, you shouldn't just act any kind of way.
Yeah, like
Like,
you threw down a gauntlet though.
okay, I'll say it like this. What's that phrase? Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Right? I'm not saying that I'm not saying like fans everywhere should just be what am I trying to say? I feel like I'm about to say multiple dumb things, but just like it would probably make things better if it happened once. Just because then some of them would think twice, like, oh, maybe I'm about to get my ass beat if I'm out here throwing like cups at people and like doing all kinds, like doing and saying anything to the players, the people who I supposedly am a fan of, and I spent my money to watch them play. Which, why would you don't have to buy tickets. I'm sorry, I'm just thinking about this now.
It's a bad
For
investment. It's a really bad investment.
like, you go just to get ticked off the people you paid money to see.
And it's playoff. It's a playoff ticket. Right after COVID, you know the prices are stupid.
I don't. My whole thing is, and I've been thinking about this a lot recently. Has the number of fan incidences gone up, or is it just we're coming out of COVID and people thought that the fan incidences were going to just be like not a thing because people are so happy to be into the stadiums or the arenas, whatever. So all of a sudden, when something happens, there's more spotlight put on it. You know what I mean? It's like I've really thought about this, and I'm not sure. I don't know which one's which, but I'm positive. If you go back and listen to old NBA players specifically, go back and listen to some of their past incidences and things that's happened to them. Fans been acting wild for a long time. Fans always acted wild. We hear about you people have been throwing stuff on the court at people forever. You know what I mean? You can go back to the gladiator days. Like people have been doing it forever. But I think that once we got out of once the arena started opening up and fans started going back, people had kind of like glorified subconsciously like what fan interactions were gonna be like with the athletes and the players, and then they quickly realized there's just some douchebags out there. There's some awful people out there, and those awful people were in their room, their houses, just waiting for their opportunity to get out. They're watching the games in the bubble, and then their head like, "Ooh, I can't wait to get back into the Boston Garden so I can throw someone." You know what I mean? Like that's probably the case for some people, but like I don't think that the fan incidences are getting more ridiculous. They're just the same, but we just started coming back into the arenas after a long hiatus, so it's a bit, fresh. So a bit more fresh in our minds because you had that one dude who ran to the court. People been running the course all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, you got pictures of little kids running the course all the time, trying to hug LeBron and Carmelo Anthony and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, I'm not sure which one it is because I kind of equated it to like, like the mass shooting thing. This got real dark real quick, but I'll just let you know.
Mm-hmm.
When like the pandemic happened, mass shootings went down obviously because people weren't out and about. All of a sudden, the pandemic started to lighten a bit, and the mass shootings went up. And all of a sudden, it was breaking news, breaking news, breaking news. Now there's one every weekend. We barely hear about it. I think the exact same thing is going to happen when it comes to fan, behavior. When it comes to the arena things too. It first happened, breaking news, like, oh, this thing happened this week, happened this game, blah blah blah, real sudden, real quick. But eventually, we're gonna get back to where we were. It's gonna be okay. People just ignorant, go on living their lives. So,
like as you were talking, I thought about something that like it's probably like you said, kind of a combination both of like, of course, ignorant, belligerent, entitled fans have existed for a while, basically since the dawn of sports, and like we probably did kind of glorify just like people finally get back in and see games live, like they just like you said, just kind of be happy to be there, they go, they enjoy it, the game, like they probably cuss in their seats or whatever, and like they go home. But like something that occurred to me, right, is that the thing is, in all likelihood, right, because like of course with most of the stadiums that do have like basically everywhere, even like if they have fans, it's a much smaller number than usual in terms of like allowed seating. And like it occurs to me that like the kind of the fans most likely to show back up this early are going to be the more entitled, belligerent, probably wealthier fans. And the more entitled, belligerent, wealthier fans are going to act entitled, belligerent, and wealthy, like they don't have any home training for real. Which is not good, but like you can make the argument kind of that also some of that becomes less noticeable, and they can kind of do less harm when like there are thousands of other fans that are acting like they have some goddamn sense.
Yeah. But I don't know if you can actually do anything about it though. So like there's like,
can I give my solution?
Okay,
I had to cut you off.
Go ahead.
I feel like I know where this is going.
Next time when the player association meets, they need to negotiate that once every 20 years.
Okay, got you. They're just going.
Slide a Malice and a Palace in. Just write that in there. Write that in there where nobody gets in trouble, because everybody needs an attitude adjustment. I think if we see how massive these people are, and you think they like friendly giants. Nobody was really messing with nobody. Ron Artest. Like all we need is one or two. All we need is one or two. I think people will put two and two together. Like these aren't children, and if they are, they're 6'10" children, and you should probably just leave them alone. Like one part of the equation is you just don't think nothing's gonna happen to you.
Yeah.
No.
With there being there's multiple factors that are involved. One, entitlement, like Calvin said. Two, as long as you sell alcohol at a sporting event, these things are bound to happen. Like, it is what it is. Like, you get that liquid courage in them, and they already feel entitled beforehand, they're going to do some wild things. You know what I mean? Boston Garden is notorious. For Boston in general, in sports, is a notorious place for wild things to happen. Philadelphia, same thing. In some ways, I'm like, this is bad. I don't even know. Like, in some ways, I'm like, this is bad. It's got to stop. How do you stop it? Solution. But in other ways, I'm like, people take sports really seriously. Like, there are true, like, I'm a sports fan, but there are true, like, excuse me, sports fans. Like the fandom is like a real thing. Like, it's like a level that's like above mine for like their home team or home players, whatever. And so they're gonna act wild in like a weird defense mechanism kind of way because it's like a representation of them, I guess. And I don't know if you can stop that. Granted, I'd rather it be popcorn than something way more drastic. You know what I mean? Because people are wild. People are wild. So people are going to do something. But once again, it kind of is sports too. Like in hockey games, they do wild things too. You know what I mean? Like sports are a wild thing, and people take it passionately. So I'm kind of torn on it because I know that like you have to stop it to a degree, but then I don't even know how you stop that because of how people feel. Now the Mouse and the Palace happened, but I guarantee you, since then up until the bubble and after the bubble, excuse me, many things have been said to players. Many things have been thrown at players. You know what I mean? So honestly, you'd rather catch them in the arena than outside the arena. Just say, you know what I mean? So it's kind of a weird situation.
Yeah. All right. I got any more for that one?
I mean, at a certain point, you start talking in circles. Just entitled ass fans doing entitled ass shit, and like at a certain point, just like there are things they can do that they probably won't do. That also you could just actually arrest and press charges to folks. It's not entitled. It's not necessarily going to stop it, but like when some people realize there are penalties for acting like an asshole in a game you paid money for to go and like watch and enjoy. Some of them, well, in fairness, some of the like
you paid to go to jail. Stupid.
It just occurred to me that a number of these people, probably most of these people who are actually acting this belligerent, also have the money to just post their own bail and have good ass lawyers.
And that's cool. We're gonna walk out of here on this one liner because I just thought of it. It makes me laugh. Entitled fans deserve entitled hands.
I'm here for it.
They do. But let's go ahead and talk about something else that's just as baffling. That whole situation in Boston where Brad Stevens is now in the front office and they're looking for a head coach because Danny Ainge does not like the way these people defend a drawing on the ground.
Well, I will say this. I got two things on this.
Mm-hmm.
I get that this is the maneuver that because when Stephen A. Smith came out and he said the whole like race thing, like I didn't think about that at first, and I usually think about that stuff like beforehand and then deviate out. I didn't think about that because I know this is how Danny Ainge worked when he was in Phoenix. I know this is the exact same process. He went from head coach to the front office. Like, this is the exact same thing. So it didn't deviate from what he's already done before. Secondly, everybody knows Brad Stevens is a good X's and O's coach. And Brad Stevens is good at picking talent. But Brad Stevens, because he's a head coach. He's in those meetings and all that kind of stuff when it comes to draft picks. But the thing that's been like a knock on him is he a player coach, like player like personality, all that kind of stuff, right? The things that a head coach has to do beyond the X's and O's. So isn't he kind of tailor made for a front office job if he's good at those certain things and not good at the the motivational aspects and the whatever things of that line of nature towards being a head coach? Like the move makes sense to me.
Yeah.
I didn't think about it in any other way about that. But honestly, the move just kind of made sense to me of who Brad Stevens is. Put him in the front office. He's kind of boring anyways. But he is good at X's and O's, and he is good at an eye for talent. Even when he was at Butler, right? He's good at having an eye for talent. So put in the front office and put somebody else in there who's more of a rah-rah motivator kind of guy.
Yeah. I mean, that's what people been wanting from him for like years, though. And I get where you're coming from. It's just like from the outside looking in, it just happened really fast. Like it just happened abruptly.
It's just like they lost they lost their series, and it's just like, oh, Brad Stevens is in the front office now.
Yeah. Because Danny Ainge wants to go somewhere.
But if Danny Ainge continues to be in the front office with like his team continuing to do this, like underachieving. Granted, Jaylen Brown was injured this year, so it's kind of an excuse. But his team's underachieving, and that's kind of like taint his legacy. So like you got to dip out before your legacy's tainted all the way. Like I kind of got it. Like for some reason, I just like fit. It just fit to me, but it did come abruptly because this happened around the same time as a Coach K thing, right? So it happened abruptly, but you know, I don't know. It kind of made sense to me.
So, did y'all see the story of why, like, Danny Ainge left?
No. Fill me in. I didn't.
So the story that I saw from ESPN that was reported, after Kyrie did the stump thing, he went to go rally the troops, like the rest of the team, to go confront Kyrie for doing that. And when they went in there, they were like, "You want us to go fight Kyrie because he stepped on Lucky?" Because that's what they call the mascot. That's on the ground. That's a drawing. And they were like, "No, that's stupid."
That's
Danny Ainge was like, "I can't do this anymore. I can't reach the players." He's like, "Dog, did you think you had dogs or prep school kids? Like, them boys went to Duke and Cal." Like,
granted, he's got a bunch of, what do you call it? Everybody you see that gets mad over, it's football and basketball. Everybody you see that gets mad over like the stomping or the disrespectful of like the middle of the field thing, it's always a bunch of white boys. Like it usually is, right? They're always a bunch of like, oh, they disrespect their like that's usually the case. Black people ain't really messing with that. You know what I mean? Oh, you want us to go fight Kyrie, who used to be on our team that we have an issue with, to get stepped on this imaginary leprechaun? I'm gonna go home and count my money. You know what I mean? Like, black people aren't about that. That's like more times than not. And I don't know, like Baker Mayfield. You know what I mean? Or you know, if he would have had like I don't know, Tyler Hansborough. You know what I mean? They might have been over there. But like Jason Tatum, come on now, Marcus Smart over here throwing hands in the crowd in OSU. You know what I mean? Like he don't care about all that. So like that just is not in their character. He should have known that. Like, yeah, that's because he had to dip.
I think the thing also though, right, is just like it's because like I think I did see some things about like, you know, various former Celtics having various thoughts and whatever, and it's just and like the kind of person who like just in general who you could reasonably expect to get mad about this kind of thing is also the kind of person. Or there's also like a player who basically spent their entire career there, or like spent like all the years that really mattered, like at a particular place. So like, and so like you're just not going to have that from like a team full of like young players like that, because it's just like this is my team and I like it here, but it's just kind of like that's a kind of dumb hill to die on, right? It's like I might like someone for a lot of things, but it's just like I can find better reasons than that.
Much better reasons.
I mean, he is a white guy who played basketball in Boston in the '80s. So like, it's also personality, but it don't fit many other people's personalities.
Like he's also a career asshole.
Now,
that's also the case. Also, that's the case.
Did you see two former Celtics who won a championship within like the 2000s that were hot about it? It was Big Baby and KG.
Mm-hmm.
Two dudes who are naturally fired up and just ready to go anyway. Just like, dude, calm down. It's a picture. Like, I can see if it was like a mascot that he stumped out, which, also.
That would actually, well, that'd be tragic, but also kind of funny.
Yeah, that's when you go ahead. That's somebody who's actually on the staff and, like, alive.
Yeah.
But no, you out over a picture? Like.
You're just like, there are better hills to die on.
Look, and I want the story to be true because it makes it so much funnier than it not being true. Did y'all hear the other one? Why Danny Ainge is so hung up on this? Apparently, before games, he used to get down and like kiss the floor, like kiss Lucky on the lips type stuff.
I need to check something on 2K right quick.
That boy weird. That boy weird.
I mean,
that animation in 2K.
That's just dirty.
Exactly.
I mean, people, I get they clean the floors, but like also they clean the floors with cleaning products. Not even like something you should be thinking about. Like that's so nasty. That's nasty. But once again, like white people have the black plague and stuff. Like they nasty anyways. So this is gross, man. That's disgusting. Yeah. Ugh, on the floor.
Yeah, they asked either KD or Kyrie after the game, like how they felt about it. It was like, y'all do know we run on Lucky's face like during the game all the time. It's not really an issue.
Right.
Danny Ainge believe in the 5-second rule.
It's not a 5-second rule. That floor been there forever.
Crazy. That's disgusting, man. That's actually disgusting. I'm not gonna lie to you. I hope that's true because if that is true, like this is I'm like speechless about that. Kissing the floor. I mean,
it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Just say you're a loser. Just say you're a weird loser.
You got chips though, right?
Yeah, look, just because you got chips don't make you a winner. You feel me?
No.
He's saying like it's possible for folks to look into that stuff.
No, I know. Danny Ainge was cold, and the teams he were on were really good.
Well,
you could just be a loser of a person.
Oh yeah. Oh, he's.
Okay, I gotcha. Yeah.
I think he might be a loser person. Like you might be a winner, but you're a loser.
I don't think he's a loser. I think he just lame. Like I really just think he a lame guy.
I mean, look, if you that lame, you a loser to me.
A lame asshole. We can't forget this.
You worry about so much stuff that doesn't.
He's been an asshole his entire life. He was an asshole when he was in the league. He's been an asshole since he's been a GM. Like this is like. It's just how he conducts himself.
Anytime a man named Tree bites you, you might just be a loser.
What?
What are you talking about?
There's a story about actually this happened like during a game. There's Tree Rollins and Danny Ainge got into a fight and there's a dude named Tree Rollins, like 7 foot, really big black dude that played I'm gonna say like the 80s, 90s, and he threw an elbow at the back of Danny's head, and Danny like picked him up and like he slammed him, but Tree also had to bite that man at some point. And if a grown man is biting you, you might be going a little too far.
Yeah. I can't imagine me being in a situation to where a man would bite me. If he did, I'm gonna pull that 9 out. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like you call to bite me? That's crazy, man. I don't even got a 9, but I'll go do sporting goods real quick. That's crazy.
All right, but let's go ahead and get into some actual basketball talk about 23 minutes in. I'm going to be real with y'all. I have been moving over the past 3 weeks, and then I had to recover from that joint. So I have not got into the series the way I should have. But let's go ahead and start with the sweeps. I mean, the Heat.
Okay. I've heard people say, the Heat, they had less time to, recover after the playoffs in this upcoming season, right? From the bubble up to this season right now. And all I say is that is hogwash. That is utterly ridiculous. Jimmy Butler, Jason Tatum said a minute ago that dudes were playing in the bubble. Dudes weren't being themselves in the bubble. Like, that's not you in the bubble. This is an NBA player, a man who was killing the playoffs, right? Especially when he lost his second in command, Jaylen Brown.
Yeah.
Jimmy Butler isn't the best player, isn't a good number one. Jimmy Butler is a number two. Jimmy Butler's a number one on that team. And we see what happens when people can just do the regular activities, and not be stuck in a hotel room for however amount of time and actually go out there and hoop in the ways they're supposed to be, hoop in the ways they're capable of hooping.
They also have the fans to influence calls, but that's none of my business.
You said what?
I said they also have the fans in to influence calls, but that's none of my business. And like they were getting blown out, so like it probably didn't matter that much in this case. But like it does matter in games. Like fans have a tangible effect on how refs call games.
Fans also have an effect on how a player plays.
They can,
right? But Jimmy Butler, in today's league, to be a 2 and not be able to shoot a 3 really is not the formula for success. Let's just say that. Or 2-3 guard and you barely shoot threes. Like, nah, you gotta scoot that game out a little bit. The people who do that, DeMar DeRozan and Jimmy Butler, stay mid-range game, haven't really expanded the 3 out. The first round losers every year. It happens. You know what I mean? They're never going to be championships. The Heat, whatever. I don't care about them. Yeah. The Bucks are nice though, so it's what it is.
Yes. Can we take a second to talk about how Chris Middleton looks like a first option? Like, I know Giannis is still that dude for that team, but this don't look like a 3-point specialist. I got a mid-range pull-up Middleton. He looks like he can go.
He can go. The thing is for the Bucks is they know what their position for the team is. So Giannis is, okay, I'm gonna do what I gotta do for the first 3 quarters. In the fourth quarter, when you need, when defense is locked down and it's not as much transition and it's more like half court, then that's where Chris Middleton goes off. In the past, it's been an issue because that's all they had. Now they got Drew Holiday, which adds a whole nother dynamic to it. You know what I mean? I think they lost this past game 1 to the Nets, but I think they're gonna go 7 games. But Drew Holiday over Eric, or switching out Drew Holiday for Eric Bledsoe, changed that team drastically, because Drew Bledsoe is such a
Bledsoe.
dust. Drew Holiday is such a more versatile and better player than he is. You know what I mean? So
you good?
I'm very cold.
Yeah. No, man. I think it's the same thing, but I feel like it's. I said my piece on the Middleton thing. Like watching him in that game 1, and just seeing like how he works, like 1-on-1 scoring, like that's the only dude that really needs that ball on the team.
Mm-hmm.
Like at that size and his ability to create his own shot, and I get that he has other like Drew Holiday and Giannis to be like some people that have some gravity that's gonna get him some space, but like
he's nice.
Crazy. Yeah, like, that's a luxury.
It's quite the luxury.
Let's move on to a 4-5 matchup that was a lot more fun. ATL and the Knicks. And I do not understand why you were excited to see the Knicks in the playoffs. And I'm not saying y'all, but we know what that team is made out of.
Okay, well, I think one of the excitement is like Knicks fans and like, sports media is in New York and there are a lot of Knicks fans and a lot of the media and whatever. And so it's just like, yes, the Knicks, they don't suck for once, right? And which is a feeling as a Titans fan that I've understood. Like, it's not unfamiliar. It's like, my team doesn't suck, hot damn. But like, it still doesn't change the fact that it's just like, they were trash for a while, and there were reasons they were trash for a while, even if, like, the players on the team aren't necessarily the specific reasons why they were trash. And, like, in fairness, it's fair to be excited to see, the Knicks players play, to see R.J. Barrett, and
Audition for other teams.
damn, but and damn, I can't remember his name.
Was Julius?
Most improved player.
Julius Randle.
Thank you.
You didn't see those numbers, did you?
I'm just talking about what the award races and stuff are looking like. Fairness, I would argue he probably shouldn't get it. It's just like his team is successful now, and he became a better passer, like legitimately a better passer, at least by the numbers. But like the thing, like you were touching on, though, like he played horribly most of that series. It's just like whatever he was doing all year, it either stopped working or like his shot, like he just went into a bad stretch or something. It was amazingly awful percentage wise and stuff. Yeah. And it's like, how'd you do all that? And then you come here and you do this. It's just like, it doesn't quite make sense. And granted, I'm speaking as a dude who had to look at the box scores more than watch the game. Maybe y'all too can talk a little bit more about like the actual, what it looked like. Because like, it's just like you see the stuff and it's like, why did you suck?
The bag just isn't deep offensively. Like he does have probably like 2 or 3 moves that he can get to, but he has to use his right hand. Like he has to go over like a specific shoulder. I don't think he's fully figured out how to go that way. And Nate McMillan is like a really good defensive coach, and we're gonna touch on this later when we talk about the Sixers and the Atlanta Hawks series. The Hawks are really big. That's a really big team. And Julius Randle, we talking about like 6'9", and he puts the power in power forward. But there's a lot of dudes. Like, you got John Collins, you got Clint Capella, you got Okongwu coming off the bench. There's a lot of dudes that can just jam him up and match with him, like, size-wise. I think that's what we saw all game. And it doesn't help that, like, the surrounding cast outside of them are also really big. Like, Trae Young is 6'1", but the rest of that roster, I don't think they have a dude that's under, like, 6'5". So they got plenty enough size.
I mean, Julius Randle was missing shots that he was like wide open on too, though. So like at some point in my head, I was watching it. I'm like, okay, so now we're seeing what a star and a superstar looks like, because he ain't no superstar. Yeah. He's just gonna be a star at his highest, right? Because at some point, it was obvious that he was in his own head.
Yeah.
He couldn't, like, he was literally just missing open shots, open threes, open mid-ranges that he didn't have to do too many moves for, but he was just clonking them. Like, he was bricking them. It is what it is, right? Yeah. But it was obvious that he was just, it was in his own psyche, and he couldn't get out of it. Playoff basketball.
Yeah.
Like, the fans going from the minimal amount of fans they had during the season to like 80% occupancy or whatever it was, some crazy, like 75, 80%, and those fans were loud. He was shook. Yeah. He was shook. The only person on the Knicks team, and they were all shook, but the only person who wasn't shook was Derrick Rose. Yeah. He's the only one who wasn't shook. Everybody else was shook to their core. And it was obvious when you were watching the game, because dudes were just missing those open shots. Each game should have been a lot closer, if not wins, but they have enough dogs. Yeah. And they have regular season dogs. We all know the difference between a regular season dog and a playoff dog. But Trae Young, he's just nice. Like he's just nice. It is what it is, right? He plays the game how he plays the game, and he's just nice with it. Can shoot. He don't really care about nothing. He gonna talk about you to your face, not behind your back. It's gonna be a whole thing, and his whole team's there to back him up, essentially. And you just saw what you're like during this regular season. You're like, ooh, Norris a bunch of dogs. That's how they got to the 4th seed. Well, they saw what real dogs look like during that series. And, once again, Derrick Rose is the only one who showed up because he averaged like 25 points a game. Everybody else was like, and very efficiently too. Everybody else was just like, they are missing shots and being upset on their press talks after the game. You know what I mean? That's all it was, though. So,
Like, if I may, though, right? And this is something that occurred to me, like, as you started talking, and this is kind of in defense of the Knicks. Just that, or the rest of the Knicks roster that's not Derrick Rose, is it like the vast majority of the roster had never played a playoff game prior to like this series, and so while like it's fair, like they were probably shook, right? I don't want, but like it makes sense. They were shook. Folks got in their own heads and missed stuff they shouldn't have missed, and probably let fans and the other team like get in their head and just stay there. But like if you're like the Knicks front office or like even a Knicks fan, right? Still like, and like if you still like believe in your team, it's just kind of like it's a learning experience, right? Just because like really they you were good enough to get it, but like now next time, right, when you're in the playoffs, you've been like you have some experience, you've been there before, right? So like as like a coach or like a GM, like I don't expect you to get shook like you got shook last time. I expect better results. I'm not saying I expect more of what we saw in the regular season to carry over. And like that's a thing that's more of a long-term thing, and you kind of just have to see how that shakes out. Because for all we know, right, we'll look back in like 5-10 years and be like Julius Randle was just a regular season player. Like, soon as the playoffs come around, he was just trash the entire part of his career where he was actually cold, and like that might just be a thing, but we don't know that yet.
Yeah, it was his first playoff season, his first playoffs in like 6 years, whatever it's been in the league. So like it is what it is. They have a pretty young team, so I mean at least it's a stepping stone, right? Going forward, and Knicks can attract free agency and all that kind of stuff based off of this season. So they weren't going to go anywhere anyways, but it's a good little stepping stone to see where they can go in the future. So.
Yeah. All right. If y'all want to move on to another matchup out east, we can talk about the Sixers and the Wizards. We're going to keep it short, just like that series. It was good to see Russ again. I like watching Russ play. I'm not sure if I like watching Bradley Beal play that much, though. At least not on that team. Like, he has to shoot way too much for them to be successful, and I don't really like that.
I think part of the issue is like just kind of thinking about the roster makeup, and you can tell me if I'm wrong. Is it like really right? There are only like 3 players roughly on that roster where you're just like, yeah, I'd feel comfortable starting them on another squad, right? Like Hachimura has been a good young player. Of course, Bradley Beal and Russell Westbrook, who I guess after like getting healthy or whatever, just basically just kind of ran through the league, like from a stats thing, like he has been doing for a decent chunk of his career at this point. But it's just like, and again, maybe I'm just forgetting dudes, but like I can't really think. Well, obvious.
They got Davis Bertans. They got Davis Bertans. He just got a really big contract. The boy shoots.
But that's all he does. And like,
that's the league.
But it's just like, okay, who's getting the rebounds? Who besides Russ? All
Lopez.
Right, who's
Robin Lopez, baby?
who's playing the defense? Because like none of the dudes we named are particularly good defenders, or in the case of Bertans in particular, god awful. And like we can talk about like how, of course, the Nets are just like a 90% offense team, but like you in general, and like you can't play like the Nets and be successful. Like you're neglecting an entire half of the game, and truthfully a little bit more because like rebounding again is still a thing. But like, I mean, like you don't have to rebound much if you're not missing shots. But
that's a lot of shots.
Yeah, man. I like watching some play. Like that's someone to me. Joel Embiid, nice. Like, it's that simple to me. Joel Embiid nice. Ben Simmons nice. Tobias Harris is nice when he plays for Doc Rivers. Like, they had no chance. Westbrook.
Westbrook goes. That's it. That's what I like. A lot of energy. He goes.
Westbrook goes, and I'm fine with that. But Westbrook is essentially at this moment the definition of empty stats. So, he is the definition of that, which I don't like saying because, I don't like saying that because,
up those stats, they wouldn't be in the position that they were in to begin with.
Yeah, but with him putting up those kind of numbers though, they should be doing a lot. And having Bradley Beal on this team, those are
But again, who else besides Hachimura, who gets the weirdest injuries? Who else do they have?
Why do you keep including Hachimura?
I like Hachimura.
Look, I know you like Hachimura. Oh, look, he had 2 games that were solid in that series.
Well, I'm talking about in general, right? And also for the
looks
future.
Good. He looks good. That's what I will say. He looks like an NBA player. That boy not ready to produce. That is future. He's still
he's future.
Rookie contract.
I'm not saying he's the guy right now because clearly he's not. I'm not trying to pretend he is on a team where he's playing with Westbrook and Beal. But it's just if you're gonna start naming dudes, most of the rest of the squad isn't dudes a lot of them are dudes you would include in deals because you need to match cap space or something, right? Except maybe Avia, but I don't know much about him.
Yeah, he's a rookie too. So
he's super young too.
Yeah. No, I'm just when's the last time he got the first round?
Who, Russ?
Yeah.
Look, here's my thing on the Russ thing. If we look at when Russell Westbrook started going crazy with the triple doubles, that was after KD left. In those situations, the best teammate he had in OKC was Steven Adams, and we all know what Steven Adams can do.
He's good at what he does, but he's not putting up numbers for you.
He's a role player.
That's fair. It's like you said, you know what he's going to do, which is going to be play defense, get rebounds, and just not move when dudes run into him, which in fairness can count for a lot when dudes just get caught off guard and crumple. But it's still if you need somebody to put up numbers, he's not your guy, even though he does a lot and he does a lot of it well.
Exactly.
But yeah, he's not a scorer.
He's a starting caliber center, and that was his number 2 while he was in OKC.
I don't think the argument he's relatively high levels.
Wait,
are you including center though?
Alan, are you including his whole time in OKC after KD left?
Yes. And look, if we want to talk about Paul George, can we talk about Paul George honestly in the way we actually view Paul George at this point?
I mean, Paul George.
When he got exposed to be, in playoff.
At that point, Paul George. I mean, I don't know, a glorified role player, but still, right? But still, I don't like. He hasn't left the first round, and you can't look past that though, because it's round 1.
Even when he had PG-13 in OKC. Name who else they had after that. We go back to Steven Adams. And we know what Steven Adams can do. At this point, especially if we're talking about in the West.
Hold on.
So if we're talking about in the West, you need 3 dudes. If only 2 dudes are doing everything, you're not getting out.
You don't need 3 dudes to get out the first round.
But everybody else that they were playing with had 3 dudes.
I'm gonna make the argument that you don't need 3 dudes, but the rest of the team still needs to be solid. And the thing is, right, again, the whole basketball is a team sport. And Russ is one dude, one very impressive dude, but still just one dude. And the rosters around him have not been particularly impressive. And he's been coached by Scott Brooks a fair bit, and my general understanding is he's not a good coach. And as we said, coaching matters, especially, I'd argue, in the playoffs because of all the adjustments and things that get made. And so, it's going to affect it's going to be hard for him to be successful if like his rosters tend to not be that great, and his coach just isn't a good coach.
So we're blaming all this on him not being able to get out the first round the last 5 years.
Because it's a team sport. If your team was trash the entire time, then yeah.
There is no way that when he was with the Oklahoma City, either KD left, those years, that he shouldn't have got the first round because they were favorites. Some of those years.
What year? Like they might have been favorites. But that's also when we saw playoff P arise. When we were all like, oh, he might be a role player. Those are the years. When he was getting knocked up by Joe Ingles. Those are the years. Why are we playing this game? If we look at the context, I'm not blaming Russ on nothing.
Ingles was probably just talking shit the entire series. And even play defense. I'm just talking shit though. Look, don't listen to me.
That man he got a 30-point triple double. He gonna show up. He gonna show up every night. He might shoot the ball 57 times. But he's gonna show up.
Which, like, if you get a better coach, might be able to convince them to like not do that or at least take smarter ones.
Come on, bro. He had Billy Donovan, and he has had Scott Brooks, and then the 1 year where I think they might have got out the first round when he was with the Rockets, he got D'Antoni. We know all three of them aren't exactly elite level coaches.
In fairness, I think D'Antoni is good. I just don't like his system.
And that's what caps him from being an elite level coach. Like you're running the same exact system. You need a team of racehorses for this to work. And then you had him coupled with Daryl Morey, where it's like just shoot the three. And we all know statistically that falls short.
Like it's variance is too high. Like for you not to be able to, we have taking Russell Westbrook and going through like half the league at this point, it feels. This is very strange.
I can write a dissertation, but I can't blame Russell.
All I'm saying is, this man went to the Rockets because they said, you're going to be better than Chris Paul for this team. And all of a sudden, they got worse.
Well,
they did. I don't think it's an argument that, you're going to be better for this than Chris Paul. He goes there over James Harden and Westbrook. And Westbrook, Westbrook with James Harden is a duo. Is a duo that's ridiculous. Numbers wise, stats wise, that's a duo that's ridiculous. James Harden's gone deep into the playoffs with many teams. He's been to the Western Conference Finals with the Rockets, right? He's gonna get a championship this year, even if he's not playing. He's gonna get one, right? James Harden did incredible things. He just happened to run to a dynasty. Almost every time, he get put out by the Golden State Warriors when he was with the Rockets, right?
If the
Utah Jazz in a dynasty.
If OKC won their series against Golden State, right, when they had taken them all the way and whatever, we're probably not having this conversation. And a lot of conversations that we have had are probably completely different because KD's probably still in Oklahoma City. And Westbrook is probably not viewed as an empty stats guy because, the best teammate he ever had decided to, dip to get a ring to, solidify his whatever. That's a whole separate thing. But, it's just, there are things that can happen that will keep you – because one player is just an individual dude, right? It's entirely possible that, if we start going through major players throughout history and actually looking at what happened and went on, because Chris Paul has never been particularly deep in the playoffs either, and nobody's gonna argue that he can't win, right? That he doesn't turn teams that he doesn't make teams better.
You a scrub, Philip.
I have made that argument for years, but
you're one of the few people who would attempt to make the argument. It's he goes to teams and they get better, right? And a lot of that is very much the ability to, run the floor and orchestrate the offense in a particular way. And if you want to make the argument that Westbrook doesn't have that, that's fair. But the only two dudes in the league that really have that are Chris Paul and Rondo. And like
LeBron James.
Yeah.
you can make okay, I'm thinking point guards in particular. But you're not wrong. You're not really
LeBron.
LeBron's in an entirely separate category. Like it's LeBron prior to this year was basically a guaranteed like finals visit. Right? So like I'm not really like LeBron's is a separate part of the conversation entirely. But like you aren't wrong. But okay, like three dudes, right? Three dudes in the entire league who can like you can put them on a team and the entire team just gets more dangerous by the fact that they exist. So like I don't know. It's at the end of the day, we're of course still gonna have our various opinions on this. And I'm not saying if you want to make the argument like how Westbrook plays doesn't contribute in some way to his stuff, that's probably fair, right? Because he's the common denominator in a lot of his stuff. Not the only one, right? We went through a number of them, but like he's not the only reason why.
I'd argue when he played for James Harden, or when they played for the Rockets, he might as well play for James Harden. I'd argue that if you watch that series, Russell Westbrook's one of the reasons they lost. You watch that series, like he had no explosion. He was getting blocked to the rim every time. He couldn't make a three. He was like shooting like.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but he was
COVID.
That's part post COVID. Like
he was shooting
not 100%.
What? Say one time.
Like he wasn't 100%. Which he's still like that doesn't change the fact that he's part of a big reason why they lost.
That's fine, but he was shooting like 20-some% from 3-point line.
That boy can't shoot.
No, he's never been that bad though. Alan, you remember you were an OKC fan. You remember watching these games. He never shot that bad to where you go, yeah, that not going in. And then like before he shot the ball.
Look, if we want to talk mid-range pull-ups, yes, that is a completely different look than what we had in the playoffs. I ain't never seen him shoot that bad. Now, if we want to talk about 3-point percentage, look, the only reason why he ever shot 30% from three is because he didn't take a lot of them. I don't trust Russ shooting a 3-pointer, to be honest with you. Every time I used to see him run up the court, and it's like a late second opportunity, he pull up a three, I'm like, I hope it goes in, but I know what it is. Like, that's not his game. I will never be mad at a fish because it can't fly. Now, if you want to talk about finishing at the rim and that mid-range pull-up, I'll cook him on that series. But he got the COVID thing to fall back on. Every time we have an excuse for Russ, every time there's an issue with Russ, there is a clear-cut excuse of why it looks the way it is. And it's like super obvious if you watch closely. Like every single time, it is like, if you look at that explains a lot of things. And people tend to write that off, and it's like, pay attention a little bit. The context is right there.
Listen, well, all I'm saying is, I'm gonna need Russell Westbrook to do something in the future because some guys have.
Like I'm not gonna pretend like it's not. I was just saying,
All he has to cuss out reporters and raise his kids, and I'll be very happy.
I'm like, no, because for a guy whose stats are that good, I want him to do something. You know what I mean? Like, he went to the finals once with James Harden, and KD, and both those dudes have done significantly better in terms of winning than him. And I'm just, since that moment,
we know why KD did better.
We know why KD did better, but even James Harden did better. So
James Harden got no rings on his finger either. And
James Harden was taking the Dynasty Warriors with that trash team and that trash system to like 6-7 games.
That's cool.
That's okay.
That's not winning.
When he had KD, they did the same thing, right? I'm not saying it's not a feat worth mentioning. It's just like it's not necessarily unique to Harden.
Yeah. Hey, look, if we're gonna pull out the dynasty card, we can pull the dynasty card out for a lot of people.
Yeah,
because that Warriors team smacked a lot of people.
I don't think we can, but I don't think we can do it with as much validity as James Harden, because James Harden, if he beats them and whatever, that one game where they missed all those threes in the second half, the fourth quarter where it was against the Warriors, and they win where they're up at halftime, but they missed like, you remember that game? They missed like
like
26
something
like that. It was some stupid number missing in a row, right? If they win that game, they win NBA championship.
But you can say that about, again, a lot of people. Like, if they won this game, they probably win the championship. If this all bounced a little bit differently, they'd have won the game. If, like, the ref hadn't blown that particular call, they might have won the game. And it's just, that might be true. But, like, we don't know that for real. And, like, we start to get into things that are a bit beyond players or even coaches' control.
Yeah. And if we want to be petty, LeBron would have 6 rings if it weren't for the Warriors. So,
guess what? You're right. I'm not gonna say that's wrong. Correct. He would.
We do it.
He would. That Warriors team is an all-time great team. So anybody that like loses to them that had like even a significant chance, I'm not talking about getting swept or swept. I'm not talking about getting 5 games. You know what I mean? Off of like a sympathy sweep. I'm talking about people who had like legitimate chances. Those Rockets teams had legitimate chances, and LeBron's teams had legitimate chances. So like those two are a different category. If you over here in the first round getting swept by them, yeah, you would have beat them, but you weren't going to beat them. You know what I mean? It wasn't that close to say the least. But you say we can talk about this game quick. We got.
I'm like, can we move on to like a different? Because the thing is, at this point, we talk more about Westbrook and his and like the perception and potential realities of him as a player and like as his career than we have the actual game that we're initially talking about at this point.
Yeah. I guess we only got one more team to talk about in the playoffs. That 3-6 matchup, and one of y'all go ahead and tell me what that is, cause
6. Dang it. Wait, in the East?
Yeah, out East.
Okay.
3-6 matchup, because I can't think of it right now. Not offhand.
Dang.
Y'all,
the New York.
It's like when you no, that wasn't a 3-6.
Yeah, that was the 4-5.
Hey,
y'all wait, goddammit.
When you said 3-6, my mind immediately went. Wait, no, Lakers were 7.
It was Brooklyn.
At least you could have said it was 3-6 Mafia. That'd have been hilarious.
That would, but like that also like that point I just have to like get up and leave. Like I can't come back after saying 3-6 Mafia.
Oh,
like
I mean that was actually the Bucks and Heat. So I think we've covered.
We did cover that one.
Yeah. So let's go out west then.
Okay.
And talk about your bum ass Grizzlies.
We gotta.
By the Jazz.
We have to.
Yeah, it'd be quick. Ja's really good at basketball. That Dylan Brooks. Dylan Brooks.
He cool.
He can go. He's questionable, but I think that is, as a role player that can get a bucket, that is a dude you're gonna have to pay a lot of money. That's probably going to be $80 million on your next contract.
Like it sounds like my limited understanding is like they've already tried to work the details of his next contract out.
Yeah, Memphis won one game because Donovan Mitchell didn't play.
Yeah,
but I mean that sums up the series. Memphis won one game because Donovan Mitchell didn't play. As soon as he came back,
they won. Like it's basketball. One player can like significantly affect these things.
I know, but I mean, I feel like the series is that simple though for some reason.
I mean, the thing is, it kind of is, and the thing is, honestly, I was surprised they got that game. Not because like I don't think that Ja's cold or like Brooks can't play, but just like the Jazz as a unit are like a deeper team. Like they got more dudes you can consistently rely on at this stage in everybody's respective careers, right? And so, and like I feel like. As far as like the Conley Morant matchup is like obviously Ja's gonna get buckets, but it's also just like he's inexperienced and like Conley can kind of abuse him, and like you can look at a lot of the numbers that Conley put up. It's kind of not that it was a one-sided matchup, but it's just like Conley clearly kind of did whatever he wanted. In fairness, it was functionally he was functionally playing all home games, all series, but like it's still just like he put up like what was that one game put like 25 and 15, and it's just like what the fuck. In fairness, I also think that Conley plays his best basketball in the playoffs, and I felt this way for a long time. So like it kind of tracks. Like the most dangerous version of Conley will do ridiculous things compared to what you're used to, but it's still just like, really?
Like I feel like I didn't learn anything from that Jazz series that I didn't kind of already know. Like Donovan Mitchell has expanded his offensive game, like to the point where I think you will like him now. Like his ability to create his own shot, he's just not like running with it. Like
you do know I watched those games, right?
Yeah,
I'm good.
I personally think he's taking steps. Like this isn't like bubble Donovan, but clearly what he was showing in the bubble is not like that's not fake. Like he can go. Rudy Gobert is Rudy Gobert. Jordan Clarkson. I know you used to have some issues with his game. I like his game now. It's like super tailored for a team that doesn't have a lot of dudes that can go get their own bucket.
He just unpush shots a player. Like
I mean, that's what they need.
Like
to have that coming off the bench.
Once again, I am not a huge fan. Like I get that's like your role. That's what you're supposed to do as a 6-man coming off, whatever. That's what his team needs him to do. That's just not my favorite style of basketball. You know what I mean? I'm not I don't love if I wanted to watch that, my favorite player, whoever did that, was Jamal Crawford, right? Am I a big Jamal Crawford fan though? No, not really. I'm not a big Lou Will fan.
A lot of fun to watch though.
Yeah, but I'm not a big Lou Will fan, right? Now I know it's what the team's going to do in that game, but that's not my favorite game to watch.
Right.
But it is what it is. He got 6 man of the year, so putting him to do something right. You know what I mean? So
yeah. But let's go ahead and talk about a series that, for some of the people on this podcast may be a tad bit devastating. For others,
Who?
It makes me happy. Let's talk about the Suns and the Lakers.
Ooh,
I
got this. Listen, Anthony Davis is not a top 5 player in the NBA.
He's not, because he
Davis
healthy. That's his issue.
Is soft. Listen, as soon as Ayton ate him alive that first game, I knew it was a wrap. Because Anthony Davis, the way Ayton played was too consistent of a way of playing. Mm-hmm. Like he was shooting so close inside and doing these kind of things and dunking that's going to translate to every game. This rebounding effort is going to translate to every game.
Mm-hmm.
Anthony Davis was shooting way too many threes on this man. So I was like, what's going on? And this is before he even got hurt. So as soon as he got hurt, I'm like, oh, it's a wrap. You know what I mean? Because he is frail. Like, I'm not going to go as far as Charles Barkley go. Somebody needs to, see how his workouts are on the offseason. I don't know about all that nutritional stuff. All I know is you getting hurt way too much. And if you get hurt that much, you're not for me. I don't even know. Do you know anybody whose favorite player is Anthony Davis?
I hope not.
I don't know anybody who's. I heard no one say, "Ooh, yeah, you know what my favorite player is? Anthony Davis." No, it ain't a thing. Mm-hmm. Anthony Davis, no one liked him. Mm-hmm. They got worked. Chris Paul did his thing.
Mm-hmm. With one arm.
LeBron's getting older, and it was obvious. It was obvious.
Was he healthy for the series? I know they said they set him out a lot after he got that injury or whatever.
He was healthy enough to play, but
he was still hobbled or whatever.
He's 36. You know what I mean? So even 2 years ago, LeBron would have cooked. All right, LeBron, it's you by yourself. We need you to put up some work. He's not doing that no more, and you don't even want him to do it no more because he's so big. And he's getting older. He's gonna get hurt. If he played, LeBron James at this moment in his career should not be driving to the rim and trying to dunk or bang out on anybody. He should be driving and kicking, because I was talking about this with somebody yesterday. When Jay Crowder grabbed him by his shoulders 3 years ago, LeBron breaking off of that and dunking on him.
Yeah.
LeBron can't do that no more because he tried to say it was a flagrant. That's called a hard foul. But we're so used to seeing LeBron be some otherworldly athlete that we've never seen before that we've never seen a hard foul just look like a hard foul on him. So with all these kind of elements combining, it was just uh, unless something drastic happens, drastic. There's too many other good teams. LeBron James and I might not win another ring.
Yeah.
Like something drastic has to happen. I mean, like a drastic trade. I mean, something like that, right? I'm not talking about injuries or whatsoever. Just a drastic trade. Something that's like shifting in terms of the league, right? But he won't win a ring anymore if this trend continues. And the fact he's getting older, the trend's gonna continue.
Look, I agree with you 100%. And I truly think it's about time for LeBron to change his game. It is not my place to tell the GOAT how to play basketball, but I would love to see him go ahead and put that 280 back on and just operate out of like the elbow. Like you're already one of the best passers the game has ever seen. Go ahead, get him like 2 or 3 more shooters, maybe somebody else, and just facilitate, and then occasionally just take that like 15-foot drive to the rim because nobody's gonna stop you. Nobody's gonna be dumb enough or like physical enough to actually be able to mess with LeBron with like a little bit of a head of steam. Like he doesn't need to be like out on the perimeter like that anymore.
So, what y'all made me think about is how like basically this year and last year, he's basically been a point guard, which is different, and that's different than how like a lot of other players like adapted their games in his age. Not that it's like it was a bad decision necessarily on his part to play point guard. It's because like it makes sense. But like the thing is like usually as players get older, like they'll move down a position, right? They'll move to a position where you, like we mentioned, they don't have to move quite as much, where you can like put be bigger and stronger and don't have to again run all around the goddamn perimeter. And that would actually be an interesting LeBron to see for real. But I don't know, like even if he doesn't get another ring, it's still just kind of like, I mean, like there'll be folks because like they're just folks for some reason. It's like, oh yeah, LeBron. Not only is he washed, but he was always trash to begin with, and he's not my GOAT. And like there are people that just say,
not my GOAT people are the lamest people ever. Like that's such a, I hate that.
That's like everybody over 30.
He is. Granted, I think if you have like the top 3 people ever, or the top 4 players ever, that they're all interchangeable because all their teams generally ask them to do different things. So you can't say, like, if we've all seen great passes from Michael Jordan, we've all seen great passes from Kobe, but their teams weren't tailor-made for them to pass the ball like that, so they needed to score a lot more. And LeBron James needed to score a lot more. He would just score a lot more and wouldn't pass as much. You know what I mean? So I think they're all interchangeable. There's that's a ridiculous conversation to have, but that's also a strong side note for what we're talking about now. But yeah, it's a wrap for LeBron though. But he's gonna like LeBron's stat chasing at this point though. It's not about rings anymore. He's gonna pass Kareem the next 2-3 years for the all-time leading scorer in the league. He might do some other like minuscule jumps when it comes to like these other stats, right? But he's over here. He's just trying to do the point thing, I think, which is gonna pass unless he gets hurt. But before 5 months ago, I'm like, LeBron hurt? What are you talking about? But now I'm like, this man's getting older and he's obviously becoming human, and you're gonna have a lot of people out here who are ready to take you're gonna have a lot of people out here, and I mean not people like us. I mean like people in the league, other players who are like, ooh, LeBron coming down to earth. It's my time to shine on this man.
Oh yeah.
And I'm not a huge LeBron. I'm not like one of these like, oh, LeBron's my favorite player ever per people. But I like LeBron. but I kind of can't wait to see that happen too. And it's not because of some weird vendetta I have against LeBron. I just want to see people go ham. I'm not gonna lie to you. I just want to see people go in, and you're gonna have a lot of Drake. You're gonna have a lot of Jay Crowders out here wilding.
But and at the position he plays, there's a lot of cold dudes. Like Jason Tatum already kind of dunked on LeBron once. It's going to be
2 years ago.
He's Luka Doncic is somebody he's going to have to guard, and Luka's going crazy. Like he's stepped into the elite shot creator role. Like it's just going to be real fun to see him. But to close out this series, at the beginning of the year, we talked about who we think is going to win the championship. And I'm going full in on this, and I don't care about being wrong whatsoever. I predict that the Suns are going to win this championship.
Oh, that's a bold one.
I predict the Suns are going to win this championship strictly because I want Chris Paul to win a championship. And as long as a team has a big man who can be somewhat dominant, I am super afraid for the Nets.
I'm not gonna lie to you.
I
agree. I think the Suns are gonna come out the West. Yeah, I think the Suns are gonna come out the West. But I think they're gonna have a tough time with whoever comes out the East. The Nets, James Harden's game the game. If James Harden walked off the court, he's gaming the game, whatever. Right? The Nets gonna win enough for him to come back eventually.
Yeah.
Philly, after yesterday's game, or towards the end of yesterday's game, kind of figured it out. They figured out defensively how to get the Hawks. So I think we're gonna see a completely different Philadelphia team against the Hawks going forward.
Yeah.
Also, Ben Simmons was guarding Trae Young for a little bit, and he was locking him down.
Save that for later, big dog. We go talk about round 2 in a minute.
Love that.
Yeah. But
I'm excited.
Yeah, because I'm excited too, because I saw a lot from that.
Oh yeah, the Nuggets Trailblazer series.
Yeah, the Nuggets Trailblazer series.
They play tonight. Oh wait, no, my bad. I meant the Nuggets play tonight.
All right. So how much did y'all watch of this? Because I caught about 4 games. I missed the Dame game because they wanted to put this on NBA TV. This isn't the MVP versus Damian Lillard. We all know that Dame can go crazy.
The only game I missed was a 55 game.
And that's the one we wanted to see. That's the one everybody wants to see.
That's the one I missed.
The scheduling. I think they had a bum team.
You know how sick I was? I was like, okay, whatever, he'll do his thing. Next day I woke up, I was like, I missed this? I was so sick, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was dumb.
I didn't even want to watch the highlights. It's nice to see, but
it's not the same.
Right? And Dame is making ridiculous shots. I'm talking about step back, turn around threes dude, it was he's just doing stuff. Somebody took the 2K controller, was just pushing buttons, and it's just fade away 3-pointers, and it's automatic.
If I may though, and granted, it doesn't take away from how great the performance is, but if you've got to do that to give your team a chance to win, it's not a recipe for a success. If you have to do it, not whether or not you can, but if you have to do that or something close to that game in and game out in order for your team to have a chance of success, that's not you're not gonna do well.
Yeah, and that's exactly why we saw Terry Stotts when we went to the monuments here in DC. Terry Stotts was sitting on the bench eating a sandwich down here, bro. It was really weird. He just got fired and he already out here.
I mean, it's not like he's got anything else to do.
What's wrong with your own eyes?
I mean, it wasn't Terry Stotts. It's just a dude that looked like Terry Stotts.
Yeah.
But
I was kind of crazy, actually. I was like, hold on, that's funny.
If we saw the actual one, probably have to annoy him.
Yeah.
Hey, we want to answer some questions.
Yeah. Actually, he wouldn't make adjustments during the interview, so I don't know if I would ask him any questions. He might just give me the same answer over and over and over again for the next 9 years.
Dang, Alan, relax. You over here.
No, you know how I feel about Terry Stotts. I've been talking about Terry Stotts like this for almost 2 years now. That's not he doesn't do anything to make his teams better. It's it's Scott Brooks level where it's just go play, and it's hey, no, and I know it's not completely your fault because they don't really have like a good roster. Like when Covington is like one of your top 5 scorers, you probably
okay. I thought you was like I was top 5 scorers. I was like top 5 players, like scorers. Okay.
But like you probably lost, and I like Norman Powell. Norman Powell showed a lot. Like it's just it's just not. It's not good basketball. They rely on like one-on-one matchups. Like CJ's amazing, but CJ is a one-on-one player, and that's great until it's not. And like you got 3 of those now, but this is still a 5-on-5 game, and y'all can't do nothing to stop a big man. Somebody on the wing is gonna eat you alive because y'all can't play no defense.
All right, real quick. So because I asked Alan this already, but like, correct me if I thought Nurkic was supposed to be good. Like, is he not?
No. Oh, well, he's what they needed. I wouldn't say he was supposed to be good though. He's supposed to be above average. But each year, the same issues come about to where he's like above average, slightly above average, I have to say, player until the fourth quarter comes, and then he gets drastically tired. And he just can't go up and down the court very well. But he's also kind of injury prone. So, his stock has lowered quite a bit, with that being the case. But his stock was high when CJ and Dame just needed like a average to a little above average big man to like succeed. But now they need a lot more. You know what I mean? Also, Dame's gone, so Dame will be gone from the Portland Trailblazers. But
Think so?
I hope so. I really like Dame Lillard is like a top 3 player that I like to watch in the NBA. Top 3 player to me in the NBA. Top 2 probably. And I just want him to succeed. And I don't know what Portland can do at this point to make that happen. So I hope he goes.
Trade him. That's what they can do. They can trade him.
But I don't even. Well, the thing is,
only to the Lakers. And I don't know how that's gonna work. Like that's the only situation where I feel like he can
words right out of my mouth. If he goes to the Lakers, now I'm sick. Now, granted, he would have nothing to do with it. You know what I mean? But like, not the Lakers. Like, I do not want to root for the Lakers. Like, I just don't. Like, it has nothing to do with their current roster at all. It's Laker fans. I want to be in cahoots with them. Like, I don't want to rah with them. They fans are so trash. I want to be a Lakers fan. I want to be a Patriots fan. I don't want to be a Yankees fan. Like, they all the same dumb fan bases to me, and I'm good. So he can go anywhere. He can go to Charlotte. That's a really fun team now. He could go to anywhere else, I would say, and I wouldn't care as long as it wasn't the Lakers.
He gonna mess around and go to New Orleans.
I would not hate that, actually.
I mean, it would actually not be that bad of an idea if you're Portland. If you're New Orleans, what you have to give up, like it becomes a worse idea. Not because Dame isn't good enough, but like, and something I was thinking about as y'all were talking was just like, if you're like a GM or whatever trying to put together a roster for real, having a player on the Supermax gets in the way of that severely. Just because they're taking up a third? Yeah. Like right around a third of the cap space. Right? And of course the players, like even players that are good enough to deserve, like in most cases rightfully so, a Supermax deal, still need teammates to play with. And like if you have to fill the rest of the roster with G Leaguers, it's not gonna cut it. And so like you can make the reasonable argument that like, as I'm thinking now, that like Dame having a Supermax contract gets in the way of his ability to win a chip.
Yeah, and I would never look down on somebody who takes that amount of money because I understand what that means. That's life changing.
I don't, because I can't even comprehend that kind of money.
I can't. It was also a really dumb contract. It was really dumb for him to stay. Like I could have told you what was going to happen a year or two ago, dog. I don't know why you did this. They didn't have. I don't know if they just can't attract a free agent, but they have some of the worst signings. Like how in the world do you let your only two defensive wings go for free? Like you couldn't get one of them. You didn't try.
I can't answer that. Like, I don't know. I don't know, but all I know is they lost. They're out. The Nuggets are moving on. And Michael Porter Jr. Listen, I love it. Michael Porter Jr. nasty. That first quarter he had in that elimination game was stupid. Like that was one of the best first quarters I've seen. Yeah. I was like, this is they not trying to lose. Like, oh, that was nuts, man.
Hey, he was playing. That was the most 22-year-old pickup game type basketball I've ever seen. Because he went crazy in that first quarter, and then the rest of the game, he just thought he only needed to shoot threes. It's like, dog, you missed 5 in a row. Do something else. After the first 2 misses, like, okay, I'll just drive.
What is it? The first quarter, he had like 20-something.
Yeah, he had like 26.
The second quarter, he had 0, or like 1 point, something like that. And the next 2, and then like the third quarter, he had like 2 points or something like that. Like the drop off was significant, but that first quarter was different.
Right. I was about to go crazy. I was like, "Come on, man! You got me out here shooting tweets off." I was like, "This is the Michael Porter game." And you
I will say this: barring injury, next year the Nuggets should be a favorite to win in the West.
Oh yeah.
With Murray coming back and Michael Porter Jr. Because Michael Porter Jr. needed Murray to be gone for him to take this step. Like it's unfortunate that in the way it happened with the injury to Murray, but dude stepped up to a different degree. And next year, shoot, I'm about to be a Nuggets fan for a second. A lot of you, I'm about to be a Nuggets fan.
I've kind of been for a little minute now, if I'm honest.
I'm not really a huge fan of liking teams who white guys are the best players, but
well, it's like I like their coach, and like I kind of like the players. Like I like how Jokic plays basketball, even though like he's not like I like traditional centers, and he's not quite that even like at all.
I don't know what that boy is.
But it's like I kind of like the general like what's the term the personality of the team, right? But I will say like I feel like ultimately the biggest Michael Porter Jr. again, assuming he stays healthy, his biggest hurdle to becoming a future Hall of Famer will probably be his ego.
You talking about Michael Porter Jr.?
Yeah.
Look, normally there's like because of the rookie scale deal, you technically get them for like 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the only dudes that are in that situation where I'm like, I don't know if you're gonna have him that long. Mm-hmm. I really don't know. He seemed like the type of dude that's gonna be like, you know who I am, right? Like even the Jokic, you like, you nice, but do you know who I am?
I limited understanding. Like he seems to have a decent relationship with Jokic, but like the thing is like he's a very confident, bordering on arrogant young man, and like rightly so in a lot of ways, right? When you watch him play, and like he clearly cares about playing the whole games. Like you're not that worried about him getting to the point where like he's a good defender and he's gotten better this year, especially compared to like when he first started playing in the league for real. And like he should just keep getting better again, barring injuries, which have ruined a lot of careers, right? So, knock on wood and all that.
And my man had a broken back, a messed up hip when he got drafted. I don't think nothing's gonna slow that man down, bro.
But like, but when I say like his ego, right, is like because like he feels that he should be the guy, and that's not necessarily wrong, right?
At all.
But like, it's also like I feel like it causes him to like because like he's kind of aware of how good he is or how good he will probably be, but like he will settle for shots he shouldn't settle for, take hard shots he doesn't need to take. He will like he he will like his confidence will lead him to like take shots away from teammates if the coach isn't careful. I feel like because like he's just like I'm the guy and like I need to be taking shots and like the reality is like you are the guy. You do need to be taking shots. But you don't need to be taking all the shots. You're not going to win that way.
See, the bad thing is I like Michael Porter Jr. I like Murray.
Oh yeah.
And like the only thing that's like I'm hesitant on with this team, it has nothing even to do with the team, which is unfortunate because it happens to me a lot. I really like Joel Embiid, and people always put Joel Embiid up against Jokic as like the best center. Who is the best in the NBA? And essentially, like their stats are like similar. Like where another person is higher, the other person's higher in a different category. You know what I mean? So like essentially evens out at the end of the day. But people talk about Jokic like he's like that much better than Embiid, and I'm just like it's not true. You know what I mean? So like my love for Embiid takes away from like my liking of Jokic, but I like his teammates so much that like it kind of raises the stock of that team in general, though. So it's whole I have a weird dynamic with the Nuggets right now.
Understandable.
Yeah, and I think one of the things with like the perception of Embiid is like this perception that like a good post player is somehow less skilled than like a dude who can just chuck threes, which like I disagree with. Even if like we can be like, oh, the numbers say and like that's fair and like it's fair to want to optimize how your team plays to like maximize the chance of winning based on the numbers and whatnot. But like part of the benefit of Embiid, right, is that like dudes don't play in the post for real. And one of the benefits of that if you're Embiid is like dudes don't defend in the post for real. So like there aren't that many good post defenders. There aren't that many dudes who can like have any realistic hope of like slowing Embiid down one-on-one. So like they have to send help. And like when you send help, he can get the pass out there. And then it's just like whether or not his teammate hits the shot.
We're gonna talk more about that in the next series because I think the Hawks are one of the only squads that can throw multiple bodies who can actually defend in the post against not Jokic,
Embiid.
but Embiid.
Embiid was cooking them fools.
Look, he was cooking, but he's supposed to. He's a star, so we know he's gonna get his 40.
Like, it wasn't even like a difficult cook though. Like he was. It was
had a lot of easy putbacks.
It was barbecue.
A lot of easy buckets.
He put a crazy move on Capella. They went around and dunked it on the start of the second half. I was like, my God.
I'll give y'all that. But to finish up, yeah, we got to finish this one up because we haven't even talked about the best playoff series. Look, you know how we've been talking about the Nuggets for like 10 minutes? We ain't even talked about Jokic for real. And Jokic has been going crazy.
Oh, it's just like their game is kind of predicated on the fact of like how good of a passer Jokic, in particular, like how good of a passer he is.
So good of a scorer too.
Oh, like yeah, like that part of the game has expanded a lot the last 2 years,
and
right?
It's so funky. I almost hate watching him play.
And the beauty of it is like it doesn't matter that it's ugly; it's wildly effective.
Yeah, I don't understand why his touch is so soft.
I think it's because his body gummy. Like if you watch it, he kind of built like a gummy bear. Even after the losing the weight, that's a gummy.
Like a roll of toilet paper. I call that man charming.
He got all the skill in the world. It's just a really funky game that I do not think anyone's really going to figure out what to do. Because if you try to stop him as a scorer,
you can. That's the benefit of like being good at different things. Like, all right, maybe I'm not scoring today, but like my teammate is. Or like I'm just gonna get 20 rebounds, unless you're Rodman, in which case you decide fuck scoring. I'm just gonna rebound for my entire career. But
exactly like this. It's gonna be really fun to see them play. I can't wait for the Suns and the Jokic's to play in the Western Conference Finals. That's my pick. But let's go ahead and talk about the best series in the entire NBA.
Clippers Mavs.
Clippers Mavs. Damn, why you?
It's like I knew where you were going because it's just like it was the only game. It was the only series of the Game 7.
Right.
Yeah, I'm really glad Luka lost. Like I am. Like I'm tired of him. Like I just am. Like we talked about this before. Luka Doncic is a liability on defense. He just looks like he works hard. Like he looks like he's working hard. So the announcers will go, man, he's looking like he's working hard, but like the numbers don't lie. Like in terms of this, he's like a liability defense. But like he's James Harden, except they talk about James Harden as like a really good scorer. But they talk about James Harden as a really good offensive player. But they talk about Luka Doncic as a really good player. They don't put any kind of they don't get more specific than that, and that kind of bugs me a lot. That's just me personally. That's why I want James Harden to get this ring this year, so he can finally they can finally just like relax with that man. But yeah, Kawhi is also like my favorite player in the NBA at the moment. He has been for the last couple of years. Kawhi said we not losing, and they didn't. Like that's literally what happened in his mind. Like we not losing. Then he went out there and did that game 6, which was incredible. Like Kawhi's incredible. Like he gets to a spot, he lifts, he makes it, goes down the court, plays good defense. Like that's like what he does. It doesn't get much more complex than that. Kawhi said, because like I was talking to somebody about it yesterday, if Kawhi Leonard loses this game, loses the series, he was a game yesterday and loses the series unnecessarily, but Kawhi's legacy would be tampered with. Like it shouldn't be the case, but it would have been the case. And he probably knew that himself. So what he do? He said, "We not losing," and they didn't lose, and it was crazy to watch.
And I think what may be the funniest part about all of this is that Kawhi bamboozled everybody into thinking he was still injured. Because in game 6 and 7, he looked like nothing was wrong with him whatsoever. We're talking about moving fast the entire game, hitting every shot, just being ridiculous. It is like, I don't know what Rondo said to him. And I don't know what he said back to Rondo.
He probably didn't say anything.
Look, he just looked at us like, I'm gonna win, right?
Like, but I like Rondo, and like he, like
Rondo entertaining. Oh, by the way, the universe doesn't want us to have anything nice, so
the Nuggets and Suns play in the second round.
Yeah. So that means the Suns are definitely not going to win this championship because that's a really hard matchup, and somehow Chris Paul gonna like fall on his butt and like tear something in his butt.
Yeah, they play tonight.
Yeah, I know. It's just that's not what I wanted.
Yeah,
that's both.
In fairness, though, right? The way these things are set up, at some point they're gonna start getting matchups that like I actually like both these teams. This isn't fair. Yeah. But it's just how it works.
I can't have nothing. But yeah. Is that all we got on those two bums? I mean, not those two bums, but the 4-5 matchup.
I mean, pretty much like
Reggie Jackson's a good basketball player.
Again?
Yeah, he had like 2-3 games where he was just going crazy.
Yeah, I like his game. I don't like it at all.
Granted, I've not paid that much attention to him since he left OKC, but like, I don't think he doesn't have. I think the kind of game he has is the kind you wouldn't particularly care for.
No, I don't. Since he was like from the jump from like Detroit, because OKC was a backup point guard in Detroit. They paid him like he wasn't a backup point guard, and I hated that. And then he left and went other places since then. But like, he cool, but like, I'm not a fan of Reggie Jackson, just not. I like a lot of their players, right? I'm a fan of Marcus Morris. I'm a fan of Kawhi, and I'm fine with Paul George. And I like Rondo. So like, it is what it is. But yeah.
But let's go ahead and get into the game ones of round 2. And the first one I want to talk about is the 76ers and the Hawks. I had to rewatch that game. I don't know. We talked about this earlier in the pod. With the Hawks being so big, that negates all of like the 76ers like their biggest thing was like, we got like 4 dudes who are 6'10" that can really go. Like, their thing is size. And the Hawks negate all of that, and all of they boys run. I think that was the issue. Like, I don't think the Sixers thought the pace of play was gonna be that crazy. Because them boys get out and fly. And they
didn't know how
all
to
can
guard Trae
shoot.
Young.
What'd you say?
At the beginning, I would say like first 2 scores for sure. They didn't know how to guard Trae Young. Like they just didn't. Like Trae Young has been acting kind of stupid on the court lately. But like they didn't know how to guard him. But then towards the end of the game, when it started getting close, you saw they made adjustments,
Yeah.
and they're like, "Okay, we got you now." So that's why I think this whole series is completely different.
And of course, the Hawks are going to make adjustments to try and get Trae free because they can't have you blocking up Trae Young.
Yeah.
They're not going to win that way.
At all. They're gonna.
Okay.
I think Trae Young is gonna have some of the same issues that Dame has, where it's like it's not easy to game plan to stop Dame,
Mm-hmm.
but if you can like make it really hard for him to even bring the ball up the court, like who else you scared of for real? I'm not scared of Bogdan.
Bogdanovich?
Yeah, I can't pronounce that last name to save my life. I'm not really scared of him with like the ball in his hands. Yes, he is a really good shooter, but if you telling me he's the one-on-one cooker, nah, baby, I'm not eating that.
Also, he's also a liability on defense. So like it's fairly easy to like because he was getting guarded by Ben Simmons a lot, and Ben Simmons was going on his neck towards the end of the game. Like he was just like, oh, you guarding me? Let's eat. You know what I mean? So like, I just think they need to get these people in foul trouble. To tell the truth, like go at them. You know what I mean? But some of the Sixers are built to go at people. So like, and also like the Sixers just need to have a little break. All of a sudden, they got into the rhythm again, and then the rhythm's going to translate over. Watch game 2. I'm going to say it's going to be a blowout, but they're going to win decisively. Watch.
Yeah. All right. If that is our prediction, I don't know if it's going to be that easy, bro.
Oh, it won't be easy, but I said game 2. It's going to be an adjustments game.
Yeah. How many games do you think this series is going? Because I think it's at least 6.
I say 6. Going 6 games, 76ers win the series.
Yeah. I kind of want Trae Young to win. Anybody who talk crazy, I'm always going to root for them.
If Trae Young wins, then they're going to do something crazy in Philadelphia, and I don't want Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid to be broken up.
True. And Daryl Morey there too. He gonna push buttons.
So like, I'm not trying to. Trae gotta lose this one. Sorry, boy.
Yeah. So the other round 2 game, Bucks Nets, which is like a really fun series to watch
because 2 of the stars apparently actually don't like each other, which I just found out recently for no other reason than like I don't usually pay attention.
Yeah. And like you get hit, you throw the ball at my nuts real hard. I think during a game where we're like millionaires, I think I probably wouldn't like you anymore either. Or was it his head? It doesn't matter. You can't hit either one of my heads and I'd be fine.
But Harden is what y'all say day to day.
Wow, that's crazy. Oh man.
Nah, man. Harden going out with that hamstring injury. How much do y'all think that changes the series?
Hold on.
I could argue that it makes the team better because 3 is too much. 2, like literally, oh no, we only have Kyrie and Kevin Durant. You know what I mean? Like, oh no, you know what I mean? So I think James Harden was gone enough that they know how to adjust with him gone. If James Harden would have got injured this game for the first time all season, I think that changes everything. But the fact that he had a little hamstring thing going on in the regular season and they kind of played without him, they know what the dynamic is. Also, Blake Griffin is working like this and getting doubles on a regular basis, then it also adds to it. You know what I mean? So we're just gonna see.
Like I honestly think it does change up the series significantly just because of how good of a passer Harden is, right? And like because he's such a good passer, and of course having other amazing scorers makes it easier for you to score because they gotta pay attention to people who aren't you. But like without his facilitating, right, and without some of the gravity that he has, you can start focusing more on Harden and Kyrie. And that's not to say like they're still not going to get their numbers. They probably are, right? But like the rest of the team just like you can. I'm like I kind of feel like in general the only other dude it's going to depend on the game with some of it because again like y'all said Griffin's been playing fairly well recently.
He
and
said that. I saw Griffin airball a 3.
He said that, but and
18 points,
Joe
15
Harris,
rebounds. Just saying.
like Joe Harris is just a 3-point shooting machine. Like that's his only role. Like don't expect good defense, don't expect rebounding, don't expect facilitation. He's just gonna sit in the corner or somewhere until he gets open, and they're gonna pass it to him, and he's gonna make the shot. And like but like he's not an offensive threat by himself.
Yeah.
I just think that any team, like if it was Kyrie and anybody else, nah. But if it's Kyrie with just Harden, it's Kyrie with LeBron James or Kyrie with Kevin Durant, I think it's a little different because those two are different. You know what I mean? So I think they're gonna be fine. I think that's gonna. I got the Nets winning the entire thing. So I think it's gonna be fine. And
Yeah. I'm gonna be real with you. I think the Bucks are gonna pull this out in 7, especially if Harden doesn't return to the series. Because watching all 3 of them on the court together, that is automatically 3 mismatches. If either one of them is in a pick and roll and they get a big man switched on them, that is cake. That is lunch meat. I think with 2 of them. I think it's still cake and lunch meat when they do it, but that means we also got to watch dudes like Mike James or like Bruce Brown or like we got to hope Nicholas Claxton has a good game. We got to have with Blake Griffin having a good game. And that's not people I trust to have 4 good games.
Like it's not like you start having to rely on people who, while they're finding their roles, aren't super reliable as far as like what you would need out of them now.
Yeah, because look, we get it that KD plus Kyrie equals buckets. They're going to be averaging like between 50 and 60 points between the 2 of them together. The rest of the team got to score 80, and I trust Joe Harris to go get me 20. Everybody else, I'm praying for double digits consistently. And it's not like the Bucks lack for defenders, or at least size at the bare minimum. Like
my understanding is like they kind of reworked their defense relative to like last year.
Yeah.
Like they, and so like they switch a lot more. They're also, they're more switchable players.
Yeah.
So, and like that's going to matter because like they're kind of just gonna have to.
Yeah.
But also like most of the dudes that aren't KD and Kyrie without Harden aren't really scoring threats like that. Again, outside of Harris, who is basically dependent on other people to create shots for him.
Which there will be plenty of those opportunities with those 2 dudes on the floor, but when it's just one of them, like I don't really want to watch KD go 1-on-1 against Giannis.
Actually, I kind of.
You're tripping.
Actually, I kind of do. Like
No. I'm talking about for 7 games. When it's just those 2, they cancel each other out in the matter.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that's part of the issue. I don't need you to cancel out. Like with Harden, that's +1 every single time. All 3 of them on the floor, that's a +1. Because you're gonna have at least 2 elite defenders when you get real high level. You're not gonna have 3.
It's hard.
And just from
it's hard to find one elite defender for real.
Exactly. And we're looking at guys who have like elite defenses. Speaking of like not really good defenders, but defense. KD back on his shot blocking prowess, where he getting like 2-3 a game, and I'm like, I like that. I like when he doing that.
You're right. I love it when a 7-footer plays help defense. Come on.
Yes, I do.
What are you supposed to do? You're 7 foot.
Yes, Did you see that in OKC? Did you
Man,
see
it's been
that?
years. Let it go, Alan. Let it go. It's been years.
No, I'm just saying that is a development, and when he's doing that, that helps out their defense because that's been a struggle for them as far as I'm concerned the entire year. They don't have a rim protector, but if KD can play pseudo, I'll take that.
Yeah.
They need it.
They need all the defensive help they can get.
I get that.
Yeah. That was a strong 105 minutes, guys. Y'all got anything else that y'all want to mention?
Who are the Jazz playing?
I don't care. Let's see.
I don't care. That's funny.
Like
The Jazz are playing the Clippers.
Oh, this is gonna be fun.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is actually. The Clippers. Anytime the Clippers play anybody, because you don't know what Clippers you're gonna see show up, that makes it fun. So the Clippers, it can either be a really good game for the Clippers or a really not even a bad game, but just like a bad game from one person, Paul George. So you'll never know. You know what I mean? So that's what makes it fun, the inconsistency.
The Clippers should eat up because there's no real elite wing defender on the Jazz. But with that being said,
they're probably
Rudy Gobert.
They're probably not gonna get 50 points at the rim.
Well, you want to bet how many times Rudy Gobert gets dunked on this series?
3.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Oh wait, that's 3. The over/under. Over/under 3.
Yeah, that's fair. But I take.
I got the over.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Actually, I think I take the over too. Not so much because I feel like Gobert's gonna play terrible defense, but just they're gonna keep trying.
Yeah.
I wonder if since and I don't know if this is be the case, right? But since they have so many, I wonder how much time Zubac's gonna get, because
that's a decent question.
If you play small ball, they have enough not small ball or smaller ball, I guess. They have the Clippers' smaller team and their best players defend.
Yeah.
So that means you could really just pull Rudy Gobert out and just expose them. You know what I mean? So I wonder how much playing time Zubac's going to get, because they turned the game around once Luke Kennard started going in and playing. They turned the series around, really. So I'm wondering how much time Zubac is going to get, because I actually
part of the thing though, right, is just while he's not an amazing player, it's the reality though is still you do have to do something about Gobert. Not that he's an amazing scoring threat by himself, but he'll get you in the pick and roll, or on the boards, and that is if you don't at least try and figure out what you're gonna do about that, even if the answer is just we won't miss shots, which is the dumbest way to go about it, if for no other reason than you're gonna miss some shots, you might miss a lot of shots depending on what the other guy is throwing at you, but it's just he'll probably eat up a lot of those smaller defenders that they would throw at him. Granted, it might just end up kind of canceling out, except for he'll have a crap ton of boards. But
I don't like him.
That's fair. Fair, but you still have to address.
I'm not even sure why I don't. Usually I'm pretty good at articulating why I don't, like a player for whatever reason. I'm not even sure why I don't like Rudy Gobert. Maybe because I feel like he boo boo, but
he's clearly not.
He can't score.
That's probably.
But it's not even a Dennis Rodman, all defensive rebound player. He's all defensive rebounds, but he tall and lanky and goofy looking. It might be because he's French. I'm not sure.
Look, and y'all forgetting something. The way that Jazz defense is set up, there is no, unless you have, even when you have 5 dudes on the perimeter, Rudy Gobert not leaving that paint. He might take a step out, but he ain't coming out there with you.
I mean, if you're coaching Gobert, if nothing else, you'd be like, let the dude you're guarding prove he can hit that first.
Yeah, and they've tried multiple times where they try to put him on the perimeter and be oh no, but it's no, nah. They scheme it where he ain't really got to do all that.
If they had a stretch center, it'd be over.
But you still need someone who can hit well enough to be like, okay, you know what? Like we have to do something about him.
They're gonna have to put Morris at the 5. They're gonna have to put Morris at the 5 if we're really talking about this stretch lineup. And Morris is what, 6'10", Rudy Gobert like 6'11". I think he might be tough enough to really like hold his own in the post.
Listen, I'll put any Morris in any situation because them boys dogs. So like, I probably would tell you the truth. Like, that's the case though. Like,
but it's like the thing is though, right? It's like the issue isn't trying to guard Rudy Gobert in the post because Rudy Gobert is not, as we stated, is not a strong individual offensive player. You're going to have to deal with the pick and roll, and you're going to have to deal with like him, like the handful of times he probably cuts and whatever.
Yeah.
Right. And like those are much harder situations to deal with as an individual defender because the issue isn't just whatever your player is doing; it's what his teammate is doing too, which is going to depend on like what your teammate is doing. And so like if depending on how the Jazz would want to do it, Rudy Gobert would still probably put up numbers against. Well, I'm not going to say. Let me feel like this. He's still a threat.
yeah, for sure.
Prediction time. Who you got?
Clippers 7.
I want Conley to get a ring, so I'm saying Jazz probably 7 if we're being real.
I'm gonna go with Calvin Jazz 7.
How much you want to put on it? No, I'm joking. I'm going for playoff P, so like I'm not confident enough in that.
Boom. Is that everything?
Pretty much. That's pretty much everything we're talking depth about for real.
Yeah.
It's a good 2 hours.
Literally 2 hours.
Right. Great show. With that being said, I have been your host, Alan Pettigrew Jr., and let's go ahead and sign out with my boy Calvin in the flesh.
Like as usual, everybody. I'm Calvin McGowan. It's always a pleasure. If you're joining us on YouTube, thank you for listening to the end. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Leave something in the comments. You of course can listen to us wherever you listen to your podcasts. And we'll be here. Well, we won't be here next week, but we'll be back next week.
Yeah. Will we be here? No, we won't be here.
No, we would have left the day before. Oh, that's gonna suck. But
yeah, it's gonna be awful.
Yep. My name is Philip Dixon, aka Sesame Chicken, and I'm hungry. Yep. Thank you.
The Traveling Hooper podcast will be in Kansas City in July. So, Philip, all this harassing and touching I'm doing to Calvin is coming from you, big dog.
Okay.